Thank you, everybody, for being here today. There is a man-made crisis on our border, and it's 100% caused by one person, Joe Biden. We know Biden's open borders and amnesty policies have created this crisis. Just look at the numbers. U.S. Customs and Border Protection apprehended more than 178,000 illegal aliens trying to cross our border in April, the highest monthly total in nearly 15 years. 15 years. Biden's immigration policies are putting unaccompanied minors at risk of human trafficking, violence, sexual abuse, and separation from families. If there's no other reason for Joe Biden to say he's got to change, think about all these young children and what's happening to them. They're leading to an alarming increase in human trafficking and drug smuggling by cartels. This crisis is overwhelming our Border Patrol agents, and taking them away from their critical duties. The cartels are taking full advantage of Biden's failures to secure the border. I saw it firsthand when I had the opportunity to travel the border with Arizona Governor Doug Ducey in March. And what I saw was, if we took an aerial tour, you see a wall. Oh, there's some nice openings for people to walk through. That's where the fences were supposed to go up, but they didn't put them up. The gates were supposed to go up. And then you saw the lights and camera because they said, oh, gosh, you should use technology. Well, the Biden administration won't electrify it. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that Harris and Biden won't visit the border and see it for themselves. Kamala Harris could have walked to the border, walked to the Texas border in the time that she's been given the responsibility to solve this problem and not done anything. And she has no excuse. She's never gone down to the border. After I visited Arizona, Joe Biden said he would go down and see the crisis himself. Has he done it? Of course not. What's his excuse? He doesn't have any. Everyone outside of D.C. knows what this is. The mayors, law enforcement, and Customs and Border Protection agents on the front line know it's a crisis. The Biden administration should acknowledge it's a crisis and do something about it. I'm honored to be joined here today by individuals that some of them are dealing with this firsthand in their states. Democrats here in Washington have acknowledged the dire crisis we have. Tomorrow we're going to hear from DHS Secretary Mayorkas on the crisis. And by the way, when I spoke to him before his nomination, he promised me he would enforce all the laws. We're going to ask him to explain how DHS is securing the border and what they're doing to protect all American families. I'd like to know how much the man-made crisis is costing the American taxpayer. And Senator Johnson's going to talk about how much waste we're seeing. Well, we've spent this money, and we have still just sitting around. I want to ask Mayorkas what he's doing to make sure the Border Patrol agents have the resources they need on the front lines of this crisis. Think about what they have to do. Their job is to secure the border, but they're having to do a whole bunch of other things. Biden and Harris have made a mockery of a very serious crisis. Instead of taking action, they're playing like, oh, there's no crisis, nothing's happened here, and hiding the facts. This isn't a game. It's impacting families, clearly American families, but families from Central America. Biden is doing nothing to help or protect American families. It's time to ditch his failed policies of open borders and amnesty and secure the border now. Now it's my distinct opportunity to introduce Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. I'm glad to have partners like Ken here. He's working at the state level to hold the Biden administration accountable in this area and many other areas. He's sued the Biden administration 5 times on immigration issues and works day in and day out to do what we all should be doing when we do the oath of office, uphold the law. Attorney General Ken Paxton.
Well, great to be here this afternoon. Senator Scott, thank you for your amazing work on this issue, and I want to thank Senators Langford and Johnson for caring about this issue and for being here today, along with the other people that are here that care about this issue. As somebody who's spent a lot of time on the border, being a border state with the largest border, I know these issues and I see them every day. And if there is one group benefiting from this, I can tell you who it is. It's the cartels. Let me say that one more time. There's one group benefiting from the policies of the Biden administration. It is the cartels. And they are making massive profits as they charge these people to bring them up through the border. I've heard from people on the border, from agents and from sheriffs, that the minimum charge is about $4,000 up to $50,000. So they are being enriched. And meanwhile, as the Border Patrol is taking care of these people coming across the border who are being invited to come, the cartels have more access and more openness because there's less enforcement ability because they're busy doing other things. So the drug cartels are increasing their drug trade and other crimes along the border that are affecting people in Texas and really throughout the nation. And so the cartels are massively benefiting from the Biden policies like no one else along the border, like no American, and even the people that are coming here do not benefit like the cartels. They end up being tied to the cartels because of the way this is happening. And so I have a few suggestions for the president, and these are not meant to be partisan. They are meant to be helpful, and I hope he'll listen, because I know he didn't have a lot of experience with this issue, and I think it would be really helpful first that if he would just follow federal law. There's a reason that we have elected representatives, and they put in place laws that he needs to enforce. From day one, he's announced that he's not doing that. Thus the reason Texas is suing the Biden administration over and over on these immigration policies, from saying that he's not going to deport anybody anymore, to letting criminals that are released from our prisons stay, and to not enforcing health laws as they relate to COVID and other issues that we're already experiencing issues with over the last year. So enforce the laws. 2, do some of these policies that have worked instead of going back to policies that have not worked. Under the Trump administration, we finally started getting some of these issues under control because we were building a wall, long-term solution that works. There's a reason they put a fence around the Capitol. How about taking the fence from the Capitol and putting it on the border? And instead of stopping Americans from visiting their capital, why don't we put that on the border and stop illegals from crossing our border? How about a little more transparency about what's going on? The American people have no idea where these people are going once they're brought here. I don't know where they're going. There's thousands of kids. Where are these kids going? Where are we putting them? I have strong concerns about where these children end up. That seems like something that should matter. These are suggestions that I think could make a huge difference. And my final suggestion to the president, again, he hasn't been to the border. His vice president hasn't been to the border. Come see what's happening. And even if you don't want to talk to the people that are doing their jobs down there, the federal officials, the state officials, the sheriffs, even if you don't want to talk to law enforcement, the people responsible for this job, at least meet with the victims of the crimes that are associated with illegal immigration. Talk to the families who have suffered loss, financial loss, because their properties are being destroyed, their animals are being released, their vehicles are being stolen. Or how about just talking to the families that have lost family members? I call on the president to do something that works. I call on the president to listen to these suggestions today and take action. We need his help. We want his help. And I'm grateful for these men and women standing behind me who care about the border, who care about my people, and who care about the American people. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Douglas Nichols, the mayor of the city of Yuma. I'd like to thank Senator Rick Scott and all the senators here today for focusing on this very important topic that affects my community every day. I really want to provide a local context to the current situation along the border from the city perspective. Since February 15th of this year, almost 300 migrants have been released by the U.S. Border Patrol into our community, and most of which have been serviced by some of our local nonprofits. This represents about 400 people a day being interdicted by our Border Patrol sector. And they release of those 25 people a day to our nonprofits, with peaks of over 100 people. This does not even address or begin to address the numbers of people that are not interdicted by the Border Patrol. While these numbers are significant, they don't tell the whole story. The hundreds of non-interdicted migrants walk through our agricultural fields that feed the nation, causing millions of dollars of damage to losses to our farmers as they have to destroy these crops to protect the food safety of the nation. We have large groups of up to 100 people showing up at our homeless shelter. Our homeless shelter is constructed and funded to service our community, not to service hundreds of people coming through our community. And of the migrants that are interdicted, many of the females, including young girls, are brought to our Victim Crisis Center and tell a horrific story of sexual abuse and rape. And our law enforcement and victim advocates are helpless to do anything because these violations happen in other countries. In the last 2 weeks, we've had over 24 unaccompanied minors come across the Colorado River alone. That's 24 people, young people that have come across, and normally in the Yuma sector, we do not receive any or very few unaccompanied minors. And just last week, when I was on the border, we witnessed a group of about 20 people coming from Russia, Romania, and Armenia being processed by Border Patrol. It's not just from Latin America that people are coming to our community and through our community. And as Governor Ducey declared his state of emergency last week or 2 weeks ago, this is a national security crisis.